awesome because like yeah, they don't have to be under the control of like this country, and they can kind of try to make their own thing. But glaring issues are yeah, people can take advantage of them. First, second, people are just using Bitcoin and then selling it immediately. If I go to a shop with a wallet that the government gave me and I want some coffee, it's like 0.04 Bitcoin. Okay, that's $2, whatever it is, and then the guy just immediately turns into cash. It's like okay, thanks. And I pay the fee to do that. Like, all right, like I'm still using a dollar, right? So, I mean, the third thing is what I was mentioning earlier: the risk of increasing wealth inequality. Because if, for example, let's say Brazil or some other country, a poorer country says, "Awesome, we are now accepting Bitcoin for real estate and all this stuff." All everybody's invested in Bitcoin. It's like, great, bro, it's going to go up. Now you have a bunch of very rich people going into these areas, buying all the resources, buying all the properties with Bitcoin, increasing the wealth gap, pushing out poor people who are already very poor to worse areas. It's just like not a good model, right? There are like a lot of issues with it. Ideally, or what I could see happening, I don't want to say ideally, but what is possible is that Bitcoin could be a form of currency, right? Like a backup, like you were saying earlier, maybe like gold stuff. But people don't even transact in gold, and I think a lot of people say Bitcoin is digital gold. So probably the idea, unless people are confused, the idea was not for it to be a currency in the first place, right? It was supposed to be a vault of what is it, like a vault of value or store of value or something? Yeah, a store of value. But people are trying to use it as currency now, which I mean I don't know if that's the best way because aren't there faster currencies to use to buy stuff? So I don't know. I think it's cool, and maybe I'm being short sighted. I just can see the risks involved, which make me a little uncomfortable. But even on a wider scale, I could never see Bitcoin being like a comparable currency to the U.S. dollar unless the U.S. like control was just completely gone, and the likelihood of that, or what that would probably involve, is like a world disaster or something like because the U.S. just won't let that happen, right? Like it will fight, right? It's gonna invade. It's gonna do something. Like the U.S. like this, they're like, oh wow, like we're not worth anything. Like that's cool. Like we have the biggest army. Well, not the biggest army, but we have the most powerful army. Um, so like, yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't really see that scenario playing out like that. In fact, I don't really see necessarily crypto being as long lasting as people think. I've always been on the idea of diminishing returns. Every cycle, I think there's going to be some element of diminishing returns until it gets to a point where Bitcoin is basically trading like, the traditional markets where it's not as much volatility. Because you see this cycle, right? Do you see how much money was in alts versus Bitcoins? Because everybody wanted that 100x, 200x. People didn't want that 3x or 4x, right? So imagine in the future, if Bitcoin is worth like 100K and it might go to 200K this time, like, all right, and maybe I'll get a 2x in 3 years. Like, yeah. So I think there's going to be diminishing returns. And then what people have to realize is like, eventually there'll be something new, right? We'll probably be middle aged, but there'll be something else coming. Like there was the internet, and then there were facets of the internet and all this stuff and developments. But
You're
yeah,
definitely pessimistic on Bitcoin. I'll tell you that right now. You
no.
definitely,
I'm not pessimistic. I'm actually optimistic.
you
So let me explain. Let me
definitely.
explain. Let me explain. Let me explain.
This is why we're at the market conditions, is because guys are FEMTO.
So let me
This is
explain
exactly
what I
why.
mean. I'm optimistic about the price. I think you can make money with Bitcoin, but the what I don't believe in is a lot of the ideas of what people see Bitcoin as and what it can do. It hasn't proven to do anything. In fact, nothing in crypto. We haven't done anything in crypto, and I've been here since Bitcoin was just here. Like, what have we accomplished? We made pyramid schemes and NFTs, which are just pictures online people buy for each other from each other. Like, okay, so yeah, price wise, I'm optimistic. I think everybody here can make a ton of money, and ideally, regular money is in a good place, and inflation not super high. You can help your family and your wife and your husband and your three girlfriends and your mistresses and all that stuff.
So
But
some
yeah,
pros I will say though, if you look at it, is like, like it's money without borders. So if you look at certain countries, if they adapt it as, like you said, another form of payment, let's say like a terrorist group or a radical group takes over banks. You know what I mean? Like look at the Taliban in Afghanistan, or certain countries like that where they're facing that type of enemy. But if they had like a crypto wallet, they could have money to pay for things. Like especially look at El Salvador. If things go bad
No,
with banks, it's definitely
yeah,
like an alternative that you could take it with.
yeah.
And I definitely think that Bitcoin's been adapted more into our infrastructure than a lot of people anticipated, especially the last year with, OCT, comptroller currency. They're the ones that create all the banks and all the fiscal institutions in America's guidelines and
Mm-hmm,
protocols for how a bank should be ran. And the fact that
mm-hmm.
they adapted Bitcoin into it was huge. And you're right. What is the huge purpose here? What is the biggest utility? And you're right. The like pyramid schemes. We have the world's richest man saying that you could use a meme coin to buy merchandise. Like that's where we're coming to. But the fact that with blockchain technology, I definitely think that it's more monitored. And when you buy crypto from like crypto.com or all these KYCs, like exchanges, they have more control than people think. It actually defeats the
Yeah,
purpose of
I
DeFi.
mean that's the thing though. So, like you're saying, that's the one good thing I like about Bitcoin. But then again, I wouldn't even want to use Bitcoin as a form of money without borders because Bitcoin is volatile. I want to use like USDT, but the thing about USDT is that it's suspicious with the funding support, so you never know. But the thing about Bitcoin is like to your point, that is great. Like if something happens in your country and you need to get out, if you look at Afghanistan, you look at Russia when they froze their funds, stuff like that, or you look at Turkey when their inflation was just going off the charts and people were getting raises, which okay, you made it so they would get a raise and it was worth less than the original amount they were making. Which yeah, but anyway, but they would hold their currency in USDT and Bitcoin stuff like that because USDT is denominated to a dollar, so they weren't losing value, which is really smart, right? And USDT is not volatile; it's going to be a dollar. If you have 10 USDT, you have 10 USDT, unless it fails, and then all of us are dead. So whatever. But that's one good thing. But that's the thing about that is like that's kind of conflating like so that's like blockchain tech. I don't I don't automatically think of Bitcoin. I think of blockchain tech. I think blockchain tech, which yeah, it's kind of synonymous with Bitcoin, but like blockchain tech, I 100% agree. It's here to stay. It's part of the future. Completely optimistic on that. Has its uses in many different ways. Even NFTs, like the foundation technology of NFTs, have a lot of uses. All that stuff. I just don't think that the dreams and promises people make about Bitcoin are accurate. Because even for the banks, first of all, banks aren't even like that reliable. They fail all the time. They're full of shit and they're scamming you most of the time. If they're getting Bitcoin, they're probably just viewing it like I am. It's going to be worth more later because more people are going to buy it later, right? If we're using it as a store of value, and if we buy a Bitcoin now or make it, like acknowledge it now, then later when it's worth more, we'll have more money. So like, they don't have to like it. It just yeah, people are going to buy it, right? That's just like investing. That makes sense. You want to get in front of the narrative. You want to get in front of what's next. So you're just like yeah, maybe 1 to 5% of the world has this. There's so many more people to buy this. We can get ahead today, even though we're not that early and make money. That's probably how they're viewing it, in my opinion. But the other thing is, a lot of countries will also make digital currencies. You saw it with China; they booted out Bitcoin because they want to use their digital yuan. The U.S. talking about digital currency, all that stuff. If things go digital, then people can say, "Well, I can use this wherever I want." Right? So then that also steals a bit from that. The other thing too is for crypto to be more legitimized, it's inevitable that the SEC will have more control over it. Right? There'll be more rules, more regulations. The returns might diminish for a lot of areas. People are going to lose some interest. There still will be some stuff, maybe higher risk and all that stuff. But to your other point, yeah, a lot of people are buying from exchanges, and exchanges are super centralized. As a matter of fact, if I'm the government, I can just tell an exchange to do this, this, and this, and suddenly you're locked out of all your money. Oh, you didn't KYC, and we told you had to KYC, and now you lost 30K. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. So most people aren't buying Bitcoin from like Bitcoin ATMs and person to person and that stuff. Like it's inconvenient, and people don't. Well, most people aren't that interested in it. People just want to make money. So for every positive aspect, like which it hasn't proven to do anything positive besides people being able to have Bitcoin here and in Russia or wherever else. Um, there's so many like holes that people have to be careful about. And the carelessness is what costs people a lot of money, not just with like investing, but like you see these like hacks and these scams and these phishing stuff and all this stuff. Like crypto's not necessarily a friendly place, and it's not friendly because there's so many holes to like what it's supposed to do versus what it actually does and what it is. And what it is just a big, to be honest, just a big Ponzi scheme, which a lot of things are basically big Ponzi schemes. But crypto is like one of the most degenerate versions because you can literally just instantly make tons of money or instantly lose tons of money because of the volatility and so much stuff. But the reality is, or what I'm trying to like really get across is, you need to have that mindset to maximize it. Somebody who's already made money or is living well, might love the tech. They have the luxury to love the tech, right? Because they have the time, the time, to think it over or give it 3 years, 4 years. Maybe they're wrong, but it won't kill them. Right? If you have $30 million and you lose 15 million, oh man, that's terrible. But you're not gonna like, you have 15 million, you're okay, right? Now, if you
Yeah.
have 10,000 or 20,000 and you really need to make this money so you can quit your job or you can pursue your passions or whatever, it's a big deal when you lose half of that. It's a big deal when you spend 3 years and you only make $2,000. Like that would piss me off. So
Let me ask
really,
you this. Let me ask you
yeah,
this. Like, because you made mention of um, the SEC and their involvement of trying to get more control within the cryptocurrency space. Like, would their involvement bode well to the future in terms
it's
of
good.
like, but what? How much of an impact would it really have in terms of like what you're saying, where you don't think where it's diminishing returns, and you think after a certain point it's going to be like,
Well,
you're not
so
make so much.
there's two sides to it. Diminishing returns are inevitable because, yeah, I mean, the good thing is we're well, I want to say we're really, really early. We're pretty early, like globally, right? Like we're still literally like the small percentage of the world, given that certain parts of the world would have access to this, but we're still pretty early. The emission returns are inevitable because eventually more people are going to have it, and then less people are going to be there to buy. Right, the capital is limited. But what also accelerates the diminishing returns is that for Bitcoin and crypto market to be legitimized, we do need regulation because right now the traditional markets, they have protections. Right now, if you get scammed on an exchange, you're just fucked. They don't respond to your customer service, and that's it. Like, oops, you lost your money. We're not gonna do anything about it. And what are you gonna do about it? You gonna complain on Twitter? Like, that's it. Um, in traditional markets, you have protections, right? So
Yeah,
if the SEC and all these other kind of government institutions taking interest in it and putting regulations and stuff, they're legitimizing it, which will attract bigger money, more institutions, more big companies knowing if things go awry, somebody's got their back. Um, but again, when they regulate stuff, if they turn an eye towards, let's say, decentralized finance or altcoins and make it so the taxation process is super complex, maybe people won't want to go put a bunch of money up in there and buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, because now it's like so much work for the miners and all this stuff to do tax and stuff that would impact returns, for example. You see what I mean? So
yeah,
if they put certain regulations in place, um, it might like demotivate people to go in that direction. Whereas those places are where we make our most money, right? When you go somewhere where it's hard to get, and then people come in later and get it, that's where you're making money. And if they make it complicated, I'm gonna be like, I don't want to go over there anymore. And I got to deal with all this shit. I'm already losing money over here. I want to go over there and pay, like, spend 15 hours doing taxes for one transaction and stuff. Um, but yeah, so that's all going to impact, returns. The thing is, I still think we are in a position where we can make tons. Um, and I still think there's still more, but not that many more, and not to the extent that we just had, because you have to realize what we just had was probably one of the best opportunities of our life so far, because they were literally just printing money. People literally just handing money. We're just piling it in. Like, that doesn't really happen. And the thing is, it's not like 2018 where Bitcoin market cap was really small. So in the future, Bitcoin market cap is going to be bigger. People aren't going to be just getting money. So it's going to be less capital just flying in. So that also kind of impacts the mission returns, right? So I don't think there's opportunity, but I think that after your W's and your L's, the bear market's a good opportunity to reflect, to plan, and what's really important is sticking to your plan. Honestly, like, there's always temptation to not stick to your plan, But if you really think about it, if you had just stuck to all your plans, even for all the L's you caught, you would have had like 2 or 3 big W's. Am I right? It's like everybody getting rid of that. But it's so tempting to like fuck up your plans halfway. And so the bear market is a great place to reflect on the stuff you did wrong, stuff you did right, think about what you're gonna do next, and then maximize it. Change your mindset to this hollow bullshit. Oh, it's a sale. All that shit only works in a bull market. It's only a sale if things are gonna keep going up for another year or 2 years. If they're gonna keep going down for another year or 2 years, it's not a sale. It's just price difference. Forget the hollow bullshit. Forget the technology. Like, oh fuck, you don't give a shit about technology, really. If I told you I was gonna make a beautiful technology, I was gonna take all your money, would you say yes and no? You don't give a shit. You wanna have money, you wanna travel, have a good time, whatever. Like that's why you're here. You gotta be honest with yourself. Once you're honest with yourself, you will see a lot of opportunities, and you'll realize that okay, I want to 10x this money. What can 10x this money? Maybe I split this up and I put this is high risk, but maybe it'll like 3x real quick, 4x real quick. I'll sell it, put it over here where it's lower risk. I'll 2x it. Like you got to change your whole mindset. You want to maximize profits during a bull run. Ideally, you want to just ride up something nice, take your profits. Maybe take a few risks in between, and then come back later. Like that's the plan. Otherwise, you're gonna get fucked by people way richer than you telling you to hold. No, trust me, bro. Like you don't even get it. Cardano's going to $15 by 2021. Like no, it isn't. Like what are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. I can calculate the market cap right now. And the thing is, those people that are seeing that shit, they bought that shit at like 0.01 cents. They're already like worth 200 million and 50 million and a billion or whatever. They're just like, yeah, fuck it. If these guys don't, if I keep getting these guys to keep buying, I'm gonna just keep making more money. And you know who's causing that sell pressure that you see on the way to $15? It's them. They're just selling it. They're convincing you to buy it. They're selling it. They're setting up traps. They're putting fake bids. Yeah, like that's really what they're doing because so few of them control so much money. They can just do that shit. They can just fuck with you, and that's another reason why I don't like leverage because yeah, they can just fuck with you. Exchanges can just fuck with you. They can just market makers can just fuck with you. Exchanges can literally just be like have like a low liquidity for a coin. You try to exit, you just fuck you, and like you can't do anything about it. Even if you were in the right, you can't do anything about it. So that's another reason why I don't like leverage. But I'm a leverage loser, so it is what it is. I had some W's, but yeah, I mean, we can make money. Just have to switch some mindset to be more realistic. Because when we are in a bull run, we get it happens every time. Yeah, it happened to me too. You get euphoric to a point where you're just stupid, right? And I mean, you guys saw me in November when I was like just going around having a good time and stuff. That's when I knew it was over because I was euphoric. I was out here just chilling, living life, seeing models going around. I was like, wait a minute, suspicious. Maybe it's the top. Like, why am I acting like this? I'm feeling good. So when you start feeling like that, you should probably think about it. Like, wait a minute, like, really that easy? This guy be a catch? So that was like in November. I told everybody, you want to get out by February, which just happened to be when it all went down.
Yeah, I mean, it happened to be November though, didn't it? Really?
Well, November was like the top, but February was when it really started crashing. After February, like March, April. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
I gave specific times. I don't remember, but I knew I wanted everybody to get out in November, but no one's going to listen in November, so I said by February. You want to get out, but because you saw, I mean, well, so you can compare cycles. What was
Yeah.
supposed to happen was Bitcoin was supposed to go crazy at that point in time where it only went to 69. It was supposed to go insane where you were seeing $8,000 candles and $15,000 candles in one day like it did back in the day, assuming that the capital was there, but the magnitude of capital required is way higher, and it was so much leverage. Right back then, there was a lot of people buying. Today, it's people 10xing their capital, so it's not real. And then when it unwinds, because somebody who has way more capital than you and controls more of the market is just like, yeah, fuck them. They're longing, and if it goes below 53, they're gonna lose everything. They're just gonna sell that shit, and then they get the liquidity, you get fucked, and they have their shorts, right? It's like people who place a short, for example, like Luna, right? Whoever
Yeah.
put that together, if somebody or some group did that, I don't know, speculation. If somebody did that, easily just put in a short and then do it. Right? You put in a short, you rate it, force the price to go down because you have billions of capital, and then you made double the money. Like people do that, and they can't. No one can stop them. And that's another reason why I don't want that shit to be running my fucking company. Yeah, I'm good. The U.S. dollar's not that great, but I don't want that. Somebody just come in and fuck me over, like to that extent. I'll take my 8% inflation. I'm gonna be honest, but yeah. I mean, so yeah, don't get me confused. I'm optimistic that we can all make money, but I'm realistic on what crypto can do because I've been here for 10 years and hasn't done shit. So say people saying, "Oh, what's it gonna do?" Like yeah, it's gonna integrate into our our institutions. I agree, but that's blockchain tech because you see there's Litecoin, there's Solana working with this, AVAX working with this bank, Litecoin's working with PayPal.
But Bitcoin only has only ETF filing in Wall Street, and it's only the only coin actually being adopted. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them using. I don't even think because, dude, it's so rare to be a substacker or an engineer to actually be the science behind crypto. These guys are like betting on themselves through angel listing and going through other like funds. They're not even like
Yeah,
getting government jobs. So I feel like the government's lacking as far as understanding like the technology and being up to date. I feel like it's the only industry where it's like they're not up to date.
yeah.
Um,
No,
they
I
might have
mean,
people in there that knows it, but I don't think it's to that level where people are like creating their own DeFi's and blue chip coins and like doing crazy stuff.
yeah. I mean, the government's or the U.S. government specifically sees Bitcoin as a threat,
Right.
as they should, right? It shakes up their global, kind of control, but also, as much as I hate to admit it, being the fact that I am in crypto is full of criminals and scammers. And by criminals and scammers, I'm not talking about like a drug dealer or some guy who
Right.
fucked over good people. I'm talking about like North Korea. I'm talking about Russia. I'm talking about people evading um, sanctions, countries, Iran, whatever, right? And that's why, and I'm speaking from the perspective of the U.S. government, not from me personally, how they give a shit. Um, that's why the U.S. government would be concerned about that. If some country, like North Korea, does some shit we don't fuck with, and we're like, all right,
Yeah.
none of this, and they're like, oh, we're just gonna take Bitcoin. What are we gonna do about it? And as a matter of fact, North Korea has some of the most Bitcoin in the world because they keep hacking people. They're behind most of the hack. A lot of
Yeah.
countries America doesn't like has Bitcoin and Ethereum and shit like that. They've actually arrested people. Or I remember one prominent guy who went to North Korea to explain Ethereum. They arrested him, made a gamble of him. He's gone. Because yeah, people can use this to subvert sanctions. So another reason why the government doesn't fuck with it, and another reason why governments want to use digital tokens and shit, and why they spread so much propaganda. And I'm being neutral, right? Like I don't give a shit. I want to make money. I see the negatives, I see the positives, but there's a reason why they spread so much propaganda about it, taking so much energy and it being full of like, murderers and criminals and shit, right? Because like you got to realize the news sources are owned by ultra rich. The ultra rich are working, in tandem with the government. A lot of people who are really rich also didn't really get into Bitcoin and shit early. They're kind of been using fiat mostly. Recently now they've been getting in, but yeah, Dutch Master is saying, a lot of people, a lot of governments and like these big groups don't know that much. Like I would say that the average member in here knows more than the government about anything related to crypto, which could be false because honestly, there's a possibility that the government is way deeper than we think because we still don't know where this shit came from. They have tracked on-chain crimes and they've tracked Tornado Cash. For all we know, Tornado Cash is owned by the government. I don't even know who made. I don't know because how do they even track that? Like they found crimes people who like made that
Well,
shit
they
dark
talk
money.
the money. You talking about cash?
No, I'm talking about the government has been catching criminals that like steal and then use things like Tornado Cash and other things to flurry the money around and make it so it's untraceable, but they still caught them. So I'm like,
Wait, are you talking about like digital coins?
no, I'm talking about like when people hack like a protocol and
Oh,
then
okay, okay.
they like use Tornado Cash something else to hide the trail, right?
I
So
see.
they shouldn't be able to get tracked, but the government has still been catching everyone. Like, how are you doing that, right? Like
Are
you
you
should
talking
be.
like how last year that whole that pipeline company, the gas company that got hacked, and then they demanded Bitcoin, and then they found the
Oh,
people.
no, those guys are dumb. No, I'm talking about like every week you hear about the biggest DeFi hack of the year, $600 million, and the next week it's like the biggest 700. Like, yeah, every week I hear about some shit like this. But the thing is, a pattern of those people is they hack it and then they use surrender cash something to hide the trail, right? Like you can't see it anymore. So unless it's already been blacklisted, they don't know like where it's going. But
Right.
the government has still been able to find them at the end trail, which I'm just like, how did like where did they see that in between? That made me suspicious. So I'm like, they shouldn't even be able to see what happened does that. So who knows? Maybe they are more involved than we think. But yeah, you can make much money in crypto. You just gotta, if unless you're already super rich, which even if you're super rich, you can be super richer. You have to approach it in a way that a lot of people on the crypto Twitter and stuff are gonna be saying it. Like you're just not what they're saying is not true, or they're just new and acting like they're new and shit. Also, most of them are fake. Most of the people on Twitter are like, oh yeah, look at my chart, and also I make a bunch of money. Trust me. All this stuff. They're just random people. Like I don't know what you're talking about, and they suck. So like only a few of them are good. And you can't really trust them. They're just random people. So yeah, be careful with those guys. But yeah, like really change your mindset, approach it differently. Like I was saying last week, I know you guys are buying outputs stuff, and I was like, I wouldn't do that right now because it's probably gonna go lower. It might not, but if it doesn't, you're not gonna miss that, right? And it end up going lower. And now it's a bit higher, but did you really miss that much if you bought then or now? No. Also, we'll talk about Bitcoin real quick. Let somebody ask some questions.
Anybody got questions right now? Actually, this is a good
It can be
topic.
the goofiest thing you got, or just the silliest thing ever.
Yeah, or
You can
something
even
that
ask,
you want to know that's not even related to the topic of conversation.
yeah, you can ask me how to get a girlfriend. You can ask me to borrow
Yeah,
money.
I
You can
don't know
ask me
about
to
all
collab.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I'm not gonna. You can ask me to borrow money. I'm not gonna say yes, but you can ask if you want to. No one's gonna. Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right now, what do you guys think? Just looking at it, so 31.8. Like, what are your views? You think they go up? You think they go down?
I think everyone should just give me their seed phrases, and we can take it from there.
Trust,
Just like,
trust. Hey,
I don't know, man. To be honest, like one thing I realized, especially like this past year, is that as much as we can look at the wicks to understand what's to come, and it's like funny. Like the other day on the group message, I was like, Elon Musk tweeted about Doge, and usually when he does, people put shorts and longs, and like people kind of went on both sides, so it's kind of like really weird. Um, I don't know, man. It's just like an unpredictable time to really say, oh, this is going to be the bottom or this is going to go to the top. And especially like where we are in the economy, like it's not so great. And
yeah,
so I don't really expect something like cryptocurrency to really come out flourishing like crazy when we have these market conditions and other things. And like cash isn't even like the legal tender of the United States is not even stable right now. I'm paying $1 just to buy a lime. Like, who's doing that right now, bro? Like
yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's
yeah,
so I don't know, man. I just like seeing it. I think the one thing that we didn't have in 2017 in this kind of like similar times, but back then it was more FUD than actual like real market conditions. Is like it didn't have traction. Now it has like I said, ETF filing in Wall Street. It's backed by a lot of Grayscale and a lot of big companies bigger trust fund companies. It's being acquired by a lot of a lot of the financial companies as well as Miami, seeing how they adapted it there, and like athletes are getting their contracts in Bitcoin and all. So I definitely think it's here to stay. But as far as like price prediction, it's kind of like really hard to really go. I mean, besides like knowing halving and the reward rate coming up, and um, I don't know.
yeah.
That's my take is with it.
You want to say anything, Emoney 99?
um, shoot, on Bitcoin. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
probably.
from
I
what you're
mean,
seeing,
just from what I'm seeing, like I'll probably have to echo most of the same things. Really, for me, as someone who like really just started taking it more serious in the past couple of years, like
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess from my standpoint, I'm sticking to my plan to a degree, but
Yeah,
I'm really just like experimenting
yeah,
with other things as well because I
yeah,
just don't see like based
yeah.
on what like the question I asked you about the halving and the 4 year cycles and like
Hmm.
I'm prepared to basically I'm preparing my mind for this to be like a
A
whole
long
year.
market.
This yeah
Yeah.
like
Well, I'll
so
tell you
like
what.
it's not really like basically accepting that this will be the reality for a while and it's not really going to be like bull market long runs that I see a lot of green and I get a lot of money back and things like that. Like
Yeah.
just
I
kind of
mean,
refining my strategy to a
yeah.
degree, I guess.
That's good. That's smart. Yeah. I mean, tell you the truth. Yeah. Most people you see online, they don't know either. They don't know, and they're drawing random charts. I see all the time. Uh, some woman or her name is Shardy. Shardy. She's pretty good sometimes in a bull market. I've seen her post, and also some other guys like just random scalpers, Ninja, that guy. Some of those guys, reverse candle, this that, right? And I can just look at it and be like, no, it's gonna go down. Or they do the opposite. I'm like, nah, it's gonna go up. Because the thing is, like, yeah, TA and all that stuff can be helpful, but really, can it really predict like? Because I know, I mean, I don't know if I mean, for you guys, I've kind of been seeing this I've been seeing over the past year. I've been like strangely accurate, right? to the weakness
Yeah,
of the
you
market.
have. I've been talking to Dutch Master about that like randomly because I was like, yeah, like when I go back and look at some of the stuff that people been saying, like I've noticed things that you've said that's like, oh, it's a possibility, and then it does happen, and I'm like, shit, he did one. Like,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is not based on the stuff those guys are talking about. Like, a lot of it is just like kind of rationalizing what's going on, right? Like, really, in November, I was like, why would the price go up? That was like my first question. Like, just break it down to the very fundamentals, forget the charts. Why would the price go up? People have been getting money for so long. The Fed just said they're going to decrease inflation. There's no new money coming in. Santa Claus isn't even real. What Santa pump are they talking about? So I was like, yeah, this is finished. It's cooked. Who, like, where's the money going to come from? So I already knew by then. I was like, all right, it's going to go down. And then kind of like, it's really from place to place, like week to week. You can't really be sure 100%, but you can have a good, idea. Um, I was somehow getting like the exact numbers. I don't know. Maybe I have some sources. I can't tell you. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like you can learn some very simple things, and it will take you a long way. And you don't have to complicate it with all the random stuff they're talking about. You can pick up a couple indicators if you want. But really, you can like jewel all that
We have
stuff. It's not.
Horacio, I'm sorry, Horacio just stepped in the building.
Oh, okay.
Horacio
Yeah,
just stepped
bring
in.
them up here.
Get that ass up here, boy. I know Izzy, I don't know why
Yeah.
Izzy's talking. Or
So
let me
I'll,
get this.
I'll tell you, I think that I mean, I see a lot of people talking about how it's going to go higher. I don't agree. I could be wrong. Whatever. If I'm right, I'm wrong. I don't have any money in there. So I don't care. I think it's going to go lower. I think it's just like a liquidity grab. So many people were shorting like 28, 27, which it costs money to short while they were doing that. So they're getting blown out. A little short squeeze. I think it go a bit higher. Even if it does go higher, you got to realize Bitcoin dominance is going up. It might be range bound. If it's range bound and it goes up, and it just keeps going up and down in a certain range, your altcoins will still go down in price, by the way. So, think about that. Yeah. But what's up, NFT guy?
NFC.
Horacio?
NFC guy.
Matt quiet over there. Yeah.
Um, real quick though,
Yo,
I know a lot of people were wondering what's going on, why we have a short list this month. I just want to like let you guys know that I just wanted to take the month off from everyone. and just kind of let them learn about some fundamentals of like what it is like being in a bear market before investing. You know what I mean? Because crypto isn't always about buying, buying, buying. It's about like Femto was saying earlier, like hodling's not just holding forever and then just thinking, okay, we're gonna make it. It's like
Gotcha,
really
son.
just you gotta have your thresholds on when to cut, so you're not past your entry and you actually could be in profits.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more pain, and you want to get back to maybe buying in your entry or maybe even at a discount. Um, but I definitely think you definitely got to be on that side of risk management and knowing really when to cut. And I think like getting on like tradingview.com or other ones similar to that, like that, where you can write notes on Wix and set reminders for yourself on like, you know what, this is where my portfolio is at. I want to sell this much of it. So I know that I'm at least in the positives. Because I know some folks that bought like Samo, at when it was kind of like way past discovery price, and then like they just kind of like now they're like, oh shit, I put 10K in it. Now what I got to do? It's like, well, you didn't really know how to cut out, and now you just got to kind of wait until it goes back, so you're in the positive. So definitely reflect on that, and if you're really investing heavy, you definitely want to have like a strategy behind what you're doing.
Yeah, and I want to say two things. I haven't looked at the short list. I'm sure it's awesome. I have no idea. But one big thing I want you guys to consider is that next time, most of the coins you think are going to be great are not going to be great. They might be okay, but I think what might happen is that next time there'll be some other narrative, and those ones will be the 100x, the 50x stuff. So you want to wait until you get some inkling, or take what you're seeing right now and think like, all right, how would this develop and what would be next? And when something comes out that's similar to what you're thinking, you just put money in it and like hopefully because if it's the only thing, it has first movers advantage. It'll probably go up just by default.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, too, you don't want to make it hard, right? Like nobody's a genius. Well, maybe some of you are. Um, like I'm not. I don't think so. You want to make it. You want to make it easy. So ideally, like I'm saying, the most money is made when people just wait for a local bottom if you're trading, or just bottomish bottom. They just buy and they wait. All you want to do is forget all this other shit. Forget about the tech and all that stuff. If you are here to make money, you want to wait till it's a good time, comfortable time. You want to put money into some promising stuff, and then just relax. So for a year or 2 or 3 years, you just relax, watch the money keep going up, and then you just take it. That's what you want to do. So there's no need to rush. They don't have that bull market mindset where it's like, back then when prices crashed, it would have resolved in a week or 2 weeks or even a few days or a month. It's not how it works now. When prices crash, they're going to stay around the same place for months, maybe longer. That's just how it is. But when it comes back, you want to be ready. You want to put the money in. You want to relax. You don't want to make conflict. You don't want to be scouring all this shit. Maybe you want to do it sometimes, but you don't want to make that like the whole thing you're doing. It's stressful going on chain, going here, losing money here. You got to do your taxes. You don't want to do that shit. You want to make maybe 2 or 3 trades a year, and you want to have just holding a bunch of stuff for a couple of years. That's what you want to do. So just be patient, get your money together. Maybe do some research here and there, relax. Get your mind right, and then when the time comes, you think you're looking good again, just put it in and relax, and then let it grow, and then maybe for example, right, like let's say you're not using leverage, or maybe you do. Maybe you put 1,000 in for some leverage. I don't know, and you 3x and something goes up, and now you have $12,000, for example. So now you have $12,000, and you put it in. The market's looking good again. You put in something, and that thing 2 or 3x's. Now you have $36,000, and you put it somewhere else, or you put part of it somewhere else. Like you put 20K somewhere else, and that 2x you have 40. Like you can grow a really good portfolio if you just wait and then relax and then just put it in. That's it. Like, isn't that so much easier? Like, why are people stressing themselves out? Because when the bull market is going on and you're making money, you start like frenzying. Oh man, make so much money, I'll make more money. You start doing random shit, and that's where you're losing your money from. Like the random shit, because most of the random shit isn't gonna work, and you're just hoping for that crazy random shit. But think about it: if you were just patient and compiled or compounded those bull market stuff, you would have made your goal most likely because there were so many opportunities to do so. But you either don't follow your plan or you start frenzying, and it's crazy because the frenzy happens every time. Even I get caught into it every time because you just can't believe what's going on. You're like, really? It's just like that? And you just start believing anything. When you're making a bunch of money, people are like, this is gonna do that. You'd be like, hell yeah. I have so much money in AVAX. AVAX is gonna take over the world. Like whatever. But you have to keep like a cool head, cool frame of mind, and realize that yeah, this was shit a year, or 2 years ago. Now it's not shit, but it's gonna be shit again in 2 or 3 years. So I want to make I want to make the money and take it, and then relax again and so forth. Like that's it. Don't complicate it. Think about what's next. Don't expect what was good to be good later. Maybe it will be, but what's more likely? Something new with a 5 million M cap going to 200 million or 300 million, or something that already has like a 10 billion M cap going to like 200 billion, right? Maybe one or two, maybe Sol. Like Sol, honestly, in a lot of ways, Sol reminds me of ETH for this run up, but there's no guarantee of that. Just to look at in the future. But also you got to look at the merge. Like, will ETH actually do the stuff it's saying? Because if it does, then it has a lot of runway. If it does what it's supposed to do, and we are moving to Web3, and it is the currency of the internet, like it's a really big deal. Like you have to use it for everything, right? So
So have you been
let's see.
keeping up? Have you been keeping up with what's going on with ETH and the Beacon chain and stuff?
I don't give a shit about any of that.
No.
So no, I don't. I haven't. I'm just from my point of view. I don't really even know what all this like. I only know from I would say like a superficial level, like the merge, all this stuff. I don't know the technicals of it. I looked at Vitalik's North. I don't really understand most of it. Like I have no idea what he's talking about. And how he's going to decrease the gas fees. He's tried previously. The gas fees were still